The Final Fantasy franchise is packed to the gills with creatures. Some are original, but many others, from monsters to summons and everything in between, are based on myths, legends, and folklore. In this series, we'll be taking a look at some of the most memorable creatures that are synonymous with Final Fantasy and trace their origins and their history to see what inspired them to be a part of the most famous RPG franchise in video game history. For our very first installment, we chose the creature early adopters like me will remember, the Goblin. Called Imp in most translations, this was the first monster that most of us encountered when setting off from Cornelia in the original Final Fantasy, and it has been a mainstay of the series, appearing in almost every entry in some form or another. Appearing as grotesque monsters with curved knives and long pointed caps, goblins are, with some exceptions, the weakest monster you'll encounter during your journey. There seems to be a common trend in fiction that places these diminutive, pointy-eared grumpkins in the lowest rung of the monster hierarchy. Why is that? Where do they come from? And why are they on the bottom of the monster totem pole? Chances are you've seen goblins in other forms of fantasy fiction, whether in Dungeons & Dragons' Monstrous Compendium or in the Runes of Khazad-dûm. You may even have read some fiction dealing with them, like Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market, where they appear as merchants who tempt young sisters with fruit, killing one of them when she succumbs to their seduction and trickery. Goblin stories may have originated from any number of places, including Ireland and Scotland, before they were part of the United Kingdom, and when they were inhabited by Celtic peoples. However, goblins also exist in stories from German, Spanish, Dutch, and Estonian folklore as well. Also gypsy tales and legends coming out of Scandinavia. Like many creatures that you'll encounter in Final Fantasy, goblins have danced through folklore as early as the Middle Ages. Their appearance and behavior differs depending upon the tradition of the stories. Sometimes they have magical powers, like fairies or demons. Some are covered in fur from head to toe. Some dye their caps in the blood of humans, giving them the nickname Red Cap. The common attributes appear to be their small stature, monstrous appearance, and their insatiable greed for gold and jewels. They usually come by their spoils through malevolent means, though some are merely mischief makers. Their cousin, the Hobgoblin, is known for being a trickster who will perform chores for their human hosts, unless the host should make the grave error of upsetting them. The appearance of goblin enemies in Final Fantasy seems to most resemble the brownie of Scottish folklore, who, like the Hobgoblin, would often perform chores but leave if offended, or worse, play cruel jokes on those who have insulted them. The oldest known goblin story is The Benevolent Goblin, which appears in the Gesta Romanorum, a collection of stories that was most likely collected sometime in the 14th century. It tells the tale of a goblin who would offer a drink from his jeweled horn to thirsty travelers on the road. When a knight stole the horn and did not thank the goblin, the king threw the knight in jail, and the goblin never again appeared to offer refreshments for travelers. In the story The Goblin Pony, published in the Grey Fairy book in 1900, Old Peggy warns the children that this is Halloween, when the witches are abroad and the goblins, who are their servants, are wandering about in all sorts of disguises, doing harm to the children of men. They ignore Peggy's warning, and they pay for it with their lives. Yet another story, Goblins at the Bathhouse, tells of a young woman who must stall a group of goblins until dawn, lest she should be forced to marry one of them. The goblin as a low-level monster most likely comes from Dungeons & Dragons, in which they appear as small and weak monsters, who will travel in large groups and bully other monsters and creatures, even those who are larger and stronger than they are. This is very likely rooted in the English legends that depict goblins as roving bands of marauders who pillage the countryside. The term goblin appears in The Lord of the Rings and other Tolkien works, but it's just another name for an orc. Peter Jackson's films kind of combine the two ideas, and they have a lower order of smaller, weaker orcs who are referred to as goblins. Today, goblins can be found all over popular fiction, usually as rank-and-file monsters that can be hewn down by the protagonist. But their legacy is much bigger than that low-level monster. In a more superstitious time, there wasn't a hearth in any countryside home that didn't have its very own goblin, there to do good or ill depending upon how it was treated. So next time you find something in your house that you don't remember tidying up, or someone has done that chore you've been putting off. Don't forget to thank your goblin and leave a bowl of cream on the hearth. After all, you wouldn't want to be the target of his gang's next raid. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I plan on doing more of these in the future. All of the creatures I discuss here will have much deeper lore and history than I can address in these videos, so if you're interested in learning more, visit your local library or plug your creature of choice into your web search and see where the rabbit hole takes you. If you want to see more creature features like this one, please like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you'll get an alert when the next one comes out. What Final Fantasy creature would you like to learn more about? Let me know in the comments below. If you would like to contribute to the channel directly, you can do so by joining my Patreon via the link in the description. If you want to see me play some games, you can also follow me on Twitch, that's down there in the description as well, and of course you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter so you can see all of the witty tweets that I make every once in a while. Thank you very much for your support, and until next time, game over.